What can we get the most joy from? Things or relationships? Anybody want to shout out what you think? People, relationships. We can really enjoy some new toy or some indulgence, but the joy that is the deepest, that is the most satisfying, that we long for is in relationships. So, these next couple minutes that we have, I want to give you basically two suggestions in this area. The first is grab the opportunity that our church campout next weekend provides. We as a church, we're sort of a large extended family. The Apostle Paul says in Romans chapter 12, verse 5, one of the ones that Sam just read, we are many parts of one body and we all belong to each other. I'm thankful for the sense of belonging and fellowship we can build as we gather on a Sunday morning together like today. Some of us are part of a small group that meets together. But next weekend will be a huge opportunity to develop relationships, to build and enjoy those relationships. Every August, the second full weekend, we have our church camp out at Highland Retreat. And in this day and age that, when there's so many options of things to do, life takes us in so many different directions. It's good for congregations to schedule times when we can all come together in a relaxing setting where we can sit around and talk with each other, enjoy each other, play games. So next weekend will be an ideal place for us to get to know each other better, build our friendships with one another, enjoy each other. So I'm looking forward to it. Karen and I, the previous 4 weeks, spent some time in our tent, three different state parks. We're looking forward to probably setting up the tent there, informal fellowship around campfires, just enjoying the nature that's there at Highland and enjoying some of the group games that we'll be playing together, particularly Saturday evening. Also some singing and popcorn Saturday evening. Looking forward to that. My second suggestion, to help you get this joy in relationships as fully as you can, is to do what Paul, the Apostle Paul, says in our text in Romans chapter 12. Paul says a lot. I'm going to give us more of a bite size, mainly focus on one verse, verse 10. The first half of it says, love each other with genuine affection. That's the New Living Translation. Some translations word it, be devoted to each other like a loving family. Or love each other as brothers and sisters. Paul actually wrote, if you read it in the Greek, love each other with, the Greek word is Philadelphia. Anybody know what Philadelphia means? You know your Greek? Tim does, yeah. Brotherly love. Today we don't use that phrase very much, brotherly love. So to put it into today's word, the kind of love that Paul has in mind, we might say, love each other as a loving family. Or the New Living Translation, love each other with genuine affection. Because love among siblings and parents and children usually runs pretty deep. Blood ties are quite solid. Blood ties are something that you can depend on. What will this look like at Tristles? What will it mean for you to love uh, Tim or Evie or Caleb with genuine affection? I'm pretty sure that you can imagine that. It's not all that hard to love Tim or Evie or Caleb. So so we can end the sermon, right? You already got it mastered. Well, the problem is relationships are not only ones that bring joy, but relationships can also bring pain to us as well. Relationships can be difficult. So, how about if you're working on something, planning something, and one of us who's not as nice as John Allen, just to pick on somebody else here, unfairly criticizes what you just said? What does love with genuine affection look like in that moment? Or if you're in Sunday school and you, with some trepidation and hesitation, just ventured an opinion, and somebody in the class, your Christian brother or sister, dismisses what you just said like it was totally wrong. Or suppose you're walking down, I was going to say down the hall, but walking up the hill, whatever, after the service, and somebody walks by you and doesn't even acknowledge you. What will it look like to love with genuine affection then? Is Paul thinking that we are to, on the spot, muster some warm and glad feelings for this person that it really feels like they just slighted us or maybe even wounded us? In our culture, that's how we typically view love. We view it as a feeling. So it's pretty frustrating when persons that we're supposed to love are not as nice as Susan or Marla, because we don't have a warm feeling toward them. So how are we supposed to make ourselves feel that way? You can't command a feeling, can you? So if we have that view of love, this text seems unrealistic. But that's not what Paul was meaning by love. Biblical love is not a feeling. Biblical love is not something that happens to you. It's something that you do. It's an action where you give something. Think of all these verses. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Galatians 2:20, the life I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So now it can make sense how God can command that we show love. You can't command a feeling, but you can command an action. So the next time you run up against someone who's not as nice as Don, I was talking about Don Lambert, not you. No, I was talking about both of you. Don't just sit there trying to muster up a feeling of love, but do an act of love. Give of something to them. as you interact in your neighborhood, as Sam was encouraging us, don't be waiting for some nice feeling to strike you. Just do some actions of giving as the Lord gives an opportunity for you to give something. Let me single out two specific things that love gives. When the other has hurt us, which can happen, unfortunately, the first thing that love gives is grace. Even though our feelings might be screaming, spurn them, or let them experience some of the hurt that they gave me, give grace, give forgiveness. We see this all through the last part of Romans 12, which Sam read. Verse 14, Paul mentions those who persecute us, and he says, bless them, don't curse them, pray that God will bless them. Verse 17, never pay back evil for evil. Verse 19, never take revenge. 20, instead, if your enemy is hungry, feed them. If they're thirsty, give them something to drink. If someone unfairly attacks you, um, they, for example, they point out the bad of your opinion, your proposal that you just made without acknowledging the good that is in there. Give them what you wanted from them. Acknowledge the good, the truth in what they are saying. Maybe 90% of what they just said felt like an unfair attack, but give the grace to acknowledge that 10%. When someone has hurt us, love is giving them grace, giving them forgiveness. 1 Peter 4:8, most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other, for love covers a multitude of sins. Now this love is hard because it is going against our feelings, but you know, most good things are hard. We can't just do what we feel like and get good grades and graduate. We can't just do what we feel like and be a good employee or run a good business. This love is hard, but it brings joy. It gives relationships that make life full. It'll make our next weekend a very good weekend. In verse 10, the Apostle Paul gives a second thing that love gives. The last part of it, the last part of verse 10, take delight in honoring each other. Love gives affirmation. The Greek verb that's rendered take delight suggests a lot of energy. Some translations say outdo one another in showing honor. Another translation, excel at showing honor to each other. Can we always find something to affirm in someone? What do you think? Can you always find someone to affirm? Something to affirm in someone? I would say definitely, because no one is ever all bad. People are complex. They are mixed. They're not all bad and neither are they all good. So we can find some good in every person. And you will make life so much richer, so much more enjoyable if you do this, if you give affirmation. First, when you affirm someone, it draws them closer to you. They'll like to be around you. When anyone feels that someone appreciates them, likes them, well, they like to be around that person. So when we affirm someone, it draws them closer to us. But secondly, another dynamic, when you affirm someone, you like them more. Again, people are complex. They have both good and bad in them. And when you choose to affirm someone, you are you are choosing to notice the good in them more. And they actually start to seem like better persons in your eyes because you're noticing that good there. If you only dwell on what is wrong, what they're doing wrong, which is our natural tendency to just grumble at the wrong in somebody, well, then we live with a diminished person in our mind. So, so when we affirm another, not only do they like us more, but we like them more, and they actually become better persons. Because the third dynamic is when you affirm something in another, they tend to repeat it. That behavior that you affirmed gets reinforced. So, what is the opportunity that we have next weekend? The Highland, the church camp out, the retreat. Now you have a little more idea how to make next weekend great. And every weekend thereafter, actually, and every day.